my last area was called Arac oiaba da Serra. And it was very much just a small podunk town. Typical setup, you have one big main street. In the very middle of the city, you have a Catholic church in front of a square, a little park, and then everything else is centered around that. This was a huge area. I had a couple other areas where we had to take a bus to neighboring cities to go visit people sometimes, and this was one of them. It was cool. People would ride their horses down the middle of the street like it was a car, or they'd sit in their little buggies and have the horse pull them. You'd find lots of farmers, lots of countryside people. It was interesting, the dynamics of it as well, because in the middle of the city, you'd have all the suburbs around it and a little poorer section. And people were very slow. They're laid back, relaxed with life. They'd take interest in what you had to say a lot, but always had some reservations, and were always very fixed in their ways a lot of time. We're just kind of like, you know what, I'm living life. I like it. I don't have any problems. I'm good to go. But outside of the city, you started getting a lot richer. And people would have these huge estates, giant houses on tons of land, and sometimes in gated communities, sometimes just out in the middle of nowhere. And you could find some very wealthy people. Lots of members actually had houses like this where they were in a gated community, a gated neighborhood, or they were in just this little plot of land where they had built up their huge house. And so you find a lot of difference. It was funny to see, whereas in São Paulo the center of it often was much richer and you got out and it was a little poorer. In these cities out in the middle of nowhere, it was often poorer in the center and got richer as you went out, which was just kind of cool demographics of it. I still very much use the bus. There was less of a bus system in the city, so there were a couple areas where we could go out to by bus and then come back, but often it was walking, and it would sometimes take us 20 to 30 minutes to walk between one neighborhood to the other, down these all dirt roads, walking through suburbs and stuff. Crime rates in these cities tend to be much lower. You'd still find every once in a while somebody blew up a bank or something crazy, but normally it was very, very calm, very tranquil, and there wasn't much going on. But they were beautiful cities, tons of greenery, very nice people, even though they were often very laid back and very slow. They were just very loving and hospitable as well. It was fun to just walk around and see all the countryside and see a very much different style of living. People here often just kind of did their thing. All of the state of São Paulo, so all these little places and the big city as well, were often very dry, but they'd have their raining seasons as well. And you'd have several weeks of rain sometimes. I remember there were several days where I stepped out of the house, and as soon as I put my foot on the street, it was soaking wet. My shoe was full of water, and I just knew, well, the day's going to be like this. I'm going to have wet feet the entire day. And you just set out to work. Umbrellas there weren't very good either. So if you didn't bring an umbrella from home, you were often stuck buying new umbrellas every couple weeks, as they would just break from the wind force or from the rain itself. Other than that, it was often very sunny. The sun doesn't beat down quite as much. It's not quite as penetrating, so I never got burned there. I know some people did, but it was pretty rare to get bad burns out in the sun, just because it wasn't bold enough. I don't know.